Hello guys, welcome back. And today, we're going to be talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and if they're in deep trouble. Now, Toronto's been super concerning over the last month, losing to a lot of teams that they shouldn't lose against. So are they in danger of losing in the first round again? And is the team in deep trouble? Watch till the end to find out. Now, the Toronto Maple Leafs sit at a 43-24-5 record, and that's a pretty solid record. It would seem like they are having a pretty great year. But while they are winning games, things are starting to get a little bit out of control. Now, throughout this season, we've seen a ton of drama and a ton of doubts on the part of the Leafs fan base and the team itself. In the beginning of the year, nobody could sway away from the Nylander situation. It was a huge deal. Then later, we had the Matthews extension. We had the potential Marner negotiations that went south a little bit. And when it came to the Toronto Maple Leafs this season, since they signed John Tavares, it really hasn't gotten that much media attention because there's been so many other crazy situations with the Maple Leafs. And this season so far has been a roller coaster. But with the Maple Leafs just losing 6-2 against the Ottawa Senators, there really hasn't been much more of a low point for them. Now, while the team is still winning games, while the team still has a pretty great record, there are seemingly some cracks in the foundation that are starting to get exposed on the Maple Leafs side. And that 6-2 loss versus the Ottawa Senators was something that they won't ever forget. And me personally, was probably the lowest point of their season. Now, the Ottawa Senators usually do have the Maple Leafs number whenever it comes to games in the last couple of years. But when it comes to losing against the Ottawa Senators, the 2018-2019 Senators that is a huge red flag for a team that wants to get past the first round. Now, to be fair, there's been a little bit of sickness, there's been a little bit of injuries when it comes to the Maple Leafs roster. Some guys being affected by both. We saw Kapanen being out with concussion, Gardner being out, Dermott being out, and those are key guys that are out. But with the Toronto Maple Leafs, they've been losing against some opponents that they honestly shouldn't be losing against. That Chicago game, which was just terrible on their part, they were terrible in that first couple of periods, then stepped it up at the wrong time in the third period, and were still not able to come back. That Ottawa Senators game that I mentioned, that was just crazy. That Philadelphia game where they won 7-6, no defense or goaltending to be found whatsoever, they still ended up winning somehow. And with the Toronto Maple Leafs, yes, they are still apparently winning right now, but it is just a lot of weaknesses that are starting to get really uphanded, and we already know the weakness when it comes to their defense and how that's kind of shaped over the last couple of years, but it still hasn't really been fixed, even when the team is completely healthy. Now, with all these injuries, with all this drama going on, the goaltending collapsing could be the worst possible thing, and that's what's happened to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Freddie Andersen was carrying the Maple Leafs for a long time, I felt, especially this season, earlier in the year, but he started to fall off a little bit in the last couple of weeks, and has really started to look a lot more human, and that, for the Toronto Maple Leafs, is one of the biggest concerns I have with them right now, because they are looking to be, or they're looking to be against the Boston Bruins in that first round, and if they want to have a chance at beating them, Freddie Andersen has to be on the top of his game, and right now, I don't know if he's hurt, I don't know if he's sick or something, but he just does not look like Freddie Andersen. And while the goaltending wasn't the main reason why they lost, losing 6-2 against the Ottawa Senators was a whole team effort. The offense, the defense, the goaltending, it was all collapsed there. And while the Maple Leafs did get some shots on net, I wouldn't say that they looked like the much better team against the Ottawa Senators. Maybe even if you lose, you at least want to look like the better team against this Ottawa Senators team. You don't want to lie down in that fact. But the Ottawa Senators, I thought, looked like the better team from what I saw in that game. And for a Toronto Maple Leafs team that wants to try and beat the second-ranked team in the NHL in the first round, losing against the Ottawa Senators and almost collapsing at the exact wrong time is not going to do them any favors in April. And even with these recent losses to teams like Chicago, to teams like Ottawa, they're only 4 points back from the Boston Bruins of getting that second spot in the Atlantic Division, getting that home ice advantage in the first round. They're only 4 points back. Even with these setbacks of the Ottawa Senators game, the Chicago Blackhawks game, they're still not that far behind. But when it comes to the Maple Leafs, it's not exactly like they're trying to get that home ice advantage. If I were them, I would try anything possible to get that home ice advantage. Maybe start Freddie Andersen a little bit too much than you need to, but get that home ice advantage, because that was one of the things that bit them in the back in the first round last year. And even then, it doesn't seem like they want it. When I'm looking at the team, when I'm watching the Toronto Maple Leafs right now, I just don't see that confidence. I don't see the anger and the thirst to go after something like that. And for the Toronto Maple Leafs, again, a young team that wants to win the Stanley Cup, you gotta have that confidence, you gotta have that hunger, and for a team like the Boston Bruins, they have it. But I'm not convinced Toronto does. And right now, for the Toronto Maple Leafs, they should be doing everything possible to play less games in TD Garden in the playoffs. They should do everything possible to get more home games and get that home ice advantage. But right now, they're lacking the moxie, they're lacking the confidence, they're lacking the overall team ability. And while, yes, they do have injuries, they do have some sickness there, there should be no excuses about losing to the Ottawa Senators, even as badly as they did. 6-2 is just abysmal. And for a team that even has a sliver of hope to do something like that, to get past the first round, they need to beat teams like that, and it just doesn't seem like they have it. And for teams that have moxie, have confidence, and are rolling right now, the Boston Bruins are that, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are the exact opposite. And some of you guys know this already. Toronto is my fourth favorite team. I want them to succeed. I want them to get past the first round and do something in the playoffs, but right now, they are giving me too much hope in doing it. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs can beat the Boston Bruins in the playoffs, but right now, the way they're playing, goaltending, defensively, offensively, they aren't showing me how they can do it, and losing against the Ottawa Senators is not going to grow their case whatsoever. I would love to see them get past the first round, but right now, I just don't see it happening. But when you go back and get John Tavares in the offseason, when you get Jake Muzzin at the trade deadline, those are some lofty expectations for a team that already had expectations to grow and to win. And when they first made the playoffs back a couple of years ago, they lost first to Washington Capitals, but everybody thought it would be fine because they were going to build, they were going to grow, continue to get a better team, and to continue to get some better players. And hey, maybe get past the first round. It was fine back then because we always thought they would make progress in the years to come. But the last 2 years have pretty much been a failure in that respect, losing against the Boston Bruins, and this year pretty much seeming like the same exact thing, maybe even not even going to 7 games this time. And for a Toronto Maple Leafs team that is supposed to be building, is supposed to be growing, right now the results just do not show it. And what's so concerning right now is that the Toronto Maple Leafs are not playing like the Toronto Maple Leafs. If they want to get past the first round, if they want to beat a team like the Boston Bruins, they're going to need to play this high-tempo game, high-energy, and high-dedication game. And with the Toronto Maple Leafs, that's not what I've seen from them in the last couple of weeks. They have not played Toronto Maple Leafs hockey. If they want to get past the Boston Bruins, they're going to need to play that right now. And that's what's so concerning, is because they aren't actually doing that. And while there is still time, there's only 10 games left in the NHL season, only a few weeks until the NHL playoffs start, and if the Toronto Maple Leafs don't find their game, if they don't find these players back in time, the Toronto Maple Leafs will be done in the first round, and the Boston Bruins will be heading on to the second round pretty easily. Well, I'm not concerned for the long-term future of the Toronto Maple Leafs. The cap situation will be fine. The cap will raise. Some of the young players will get even better. Some of the young prospects will come up and play well. I'm not concerned about the long-term future for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but this year I am very concerned about and very worried about, because while the Toronto Maple Leafs have had a great season so far on paper, they've played well, they've had some fantastic players, right now it's looking like they will lose again in the first round to the Boston Bruins, and losing again in the first round will have a lot of outcry from the front office, a lot of outcry from the fans, and that's why I'm worried about the Toronto Maple Leafs, for them not playing their actual game, and that's why I think they are in trouble. But of course, with this video, I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below. So let me know, what do you think about the Toronto Maple Leafs this season? What do you think about the recent play as of late? Do you think they'll get past the first round, or do you think they'll lose against the Boston Bruins? And of course, for you guys, are you worried and are you concerned about the Toronto Maple Leafs, and do you think they're actually in trouble? But if you guys want some more Grav videos just like this one, you can click on this card right here to watch my video about the Boston Bruins and why I was completely wrong about them. But that is going for today, guys. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Again, comment down below your thoughts on the Toronto Maple Leafs and if they are actually in trouble. And I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Goodbye.